What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing round two of my mock draft post free agency with trades. Now, stay tuned because there is going to be a 2024 NFL mock draft based on this one exclusively. One of y'all asked how I'm going to be doing the draft order. I make it completely from scratch based on how I think the teams will perform based on this draft. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. It's going to be something that I've been doing for a little while now, but it's been a minute since I've been able to drop a 2024 mock. So let's get right into this. Starting off with the number 32 pick, I'm going to give us a quick little recap before we go balls deep into more draft content. But you guys can read. I'm doing this also for a refresher for myself. We will be re-referencing it as well during the draft, but nothing too insane happened. There were multiple trade ups, but I know that the good old Seahawks fans are not a huge fan of the draft, even though they have every single hole in imaginable filled up by, contracts at the moment. But, it is what it is. Brian Breezy, I think, is perfectly fine. I think Tyree Wilson, perfectly fine. And you acquired multiple picks. To me, I think that's perfectly fine. But I understand if people don't like picks because, that's just the way it works. At pick number 32, though, the Bears traded with the Steelers, which then traded with the Cowboys. So yeah, this is a Chase Claypool pick, and the Steelers then traded up for Jordan Addison. So at here, pick 32, I think you could add to that defensive front. Offensive line always is in the consideration. You got Cody Mauch here, but I would never take him this high. He hasn't played a very translatable system. He's always going to the second level for blocking. For me, I don't really think that is something that would work too well. Now, you can get O'Cyrus Torrence here and then be able to develop him. That would not be a bad move at all. You could take a center like Steve Avila, who was center guard hybrid there with Steve Avila, and then also train him to be a guard in the short run. Steve doesn't need to be, but you guys get what I'm saying. I think that would be a great choice, but I don't think that needs to be the move. I would honestly love to see O'Cyrus Torrence, though, be able to sit and develop or at least be put into a different position with some great mentorship. So for me, I'm going to be going that route. You traded back, you got extra picks, you got an extra third round pick, and then you got a nice value player in a very thin guard class. Pick number 33. So we have already gone after Myles Murphy as well as Bryce Young. So now I think you could go after an edge rusher here. Never a bad idea. Something I'm definitely leaning towards. Of course, you guys have Shaq Mason now as well as Kenyon Green on the interior in terms of guards. Don't think that's the end-all be-all, but you can see someone again like Steve Avila who can be that center guard hybrid, a Titman who could be that center guard hybrid, John Michael Schmitz who could be that center guard hybrid. I'm going to go John Michael Schmitz here. I think I just want somebody who's a bit more consistent down to down and maybe less streaky in terms of Joe Tippmann's play, because I think Joe Tippmann's awesome. But pick number 34. So we have already addressed the edge rushing position with Will Anderson. We did a trade with the Indianapolis Colts, and we followed Mel Kiper's Bears style trade for Trubisky by basically giving a third, a fourth, and a next year third. That's not my trade. That is something I'm copying from someone who's known as an expert. But at the same time, we have seen that trade value does work. At pick number 34, though, since we already have an edge rushing position, because there's still some good ones here, I think the best thing to do is to go on the interior of the offensive line. You could go Steve Avila again for that hybrid aspect. You could go Joe Tippmann, and I think Joe Tippmann's athleticism is better than the other two who he's competing with. It's somebody who I've become a lot more fond of myself. I'll scroll down my board so you guys get to see a little bit more. He's definitely athletic. He's a very streaky player, though. Versus Michigan State, he looked absolutely atrocious. But you even see versus Ohio State, he actually looks a lot more consistent. Those are potential first-round interior defensive linemen. I don't know whether it's a knock to Joe Tippmann or whether it's a tip of the cap to who is playing there on Michigan State's front. So at pick number 35, we moved up. We were able to acquire Anthony Richardson, and I love Anthony Richardson. I think it's a great selection for the team. I'm going to continue addressing the offensive line. by going after Steve Avila, who is also a center guard hybrid. So I think you address multiple positions here. All right, you basically saw a run on interior offensive line, but you also, again, a lot of these guys can play multiple positions. I trust John Michael Schmitz, Joe Tippmann, and Steve Avila to fit a guard or a center profile. Osiris Torrance, I don't really think a center profile is going to fit him necessarily, but his upside is a little too good to pass on at this moment, and I can't really see him falling much further. At pick number 36 for the Rams. Now, I'm going to go Will McDonald here, and I think I did last time as well. Here's my reason why. They offered 2 firsts and a second for Brian Burns. Brian Burns also in that like 235 to 245 range. It shows that they actually value that position extremely highly, and Will McDonald fits exactly that profile. So they've definitely already showed their cards in terms of what they're looking for. I think that'd be a great selection for them. Personally, I'd rather go offensive line, but at the same time, if you are showing that much value to one position, you're probably going to value that position. Now the Seahawks are back. Tyree Wilson in the fold as well as Brian Breezy. So now I think Josh Downs would be a great selection. You have a really nice slot option here, and it's extremely good value. Like, you've already addressed defensive interior. You've already addressed edge rusher. Your corners are fine. Your linebackers, in my opinion, are fine. Your safeties are fine and or addressed in free agency. So offensive line, which you got Luke Whippler here, might be the best value to just continue this offensive line trend because you won't get a second pick. We'll probably end off with that, but like interior offensive line is a position I would address. Running back, you could get backups, but I would never take one this high when you got Kenny Walker. A wide receiver, that slot option, as much as it pains me because I love my boy D. Eskridge, still open. And then QB, not going to be good enough value here. So we're going to actually go with the more of the rare commodity, and that's interior offensive line with Luke Whippler. Again, another guy who I think I would trust moving to guard as well. For the Raiders, Jalen Carter was that round 1 selection. I think now is a great time to address the defensive back position. I love Emmanuel Forbes. I just can't see him being there because he might have to play slot. I'm going to go after Tyreek Stevenson, who I'm a big fan of. This, I swear to God, this show more option is going to be the death of me. But Tyreek Stevenson is an excellent choice. Michael Mayer is still on the board, and I think a team needs to make a move up for him. Michael Mayer is a great choice. You could have seen it here for the Seahawks as well, but you guys have multiple tight ends under contract right now. Same thing for the Raiders, but I don't really trust Michael Mayer as the option. He could be, but I think I'm going to make a move up. Actually, well, the Jets are trying to trade for a QB at the moment, but looking at a team that could be looking for one is the Green Bay Packers, and I think the value is certainly good enough. You look at all of these picks and potentially more. I think it'll acquire 116 to be able to move up. And this is good for us because we do need some of those picks. We are going to force that trade through. Green Bay moves up to select Michael Mayer, which this is not too far out of the realm of reality because I do think the tight end class is solid enough on day 2. You don't need to spend a high pick on one now. This is also another spot where a tight end could go. Another reason why I moved up. And you look at the guys who are available. Darnell Washington would be super intriguing for this team. We've already gone after defensive interior, but I do still think edge rusher is a good position to target. Felix Anudike-Uzomah is an amazing player who I have in my top 15. Pick number 41 for the Titans. I'm still looking at Josh Downs here. I love it. Giving Will Levis a check down option. He had Wan'Dale Robinson there, and that was a very successful combo. I think he'd be better than Kyle Phillips. But, again, I can't stress this enough. The offensive line is complete booty cheeks, and I want to get the best value possible. I've been hammering this Cody Mauch train for a hot minute for the Titans, and I think it's just perfect. Guys have also went after other North Dakota State offensive linemen. So, again, it makes sense. Pick number 42. This could be part of an Aaron Rodgers trade. And now it could be part of a Lamar Jackson trade. That's another topic for another time. But I think this would be pretty smart to actually trade to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers. I think that's just going to be the smart thing to do. So we're going to actually trade it with we'll do it. We'll do it. So I first have to find them. That's a tough one. Yay, we got it. So this is going to be for Aaron Rodgers. The only pick that will actually be affected this draft is going to be this one. So I think maybe it's going to be a second and a future third. Might be 2 seconds. And the Green Bay Packers have now moved into a great spot to address whatever the hell they want to address. And looking at it, oh my God, Adebawore fell. See, sometimes shit just happens in these drafts, and sometimes it's beyond me, but that one slight of slip up right there. But with this pick, ooh, I mean, wide receiver is the best move for the team. I just don't know who they would draft out of the guys available. It's just not a good spot to address a wide receiver position because, again, this team values weight. I don't think Michael Wilson would go this high. I don't think any of these wide receivers would go this high. And unfortunately, Darnell Washington would be great. And, well, you guys know, we already selected one. So we could go Matt Bergeron here. I don't like Matt Bergeron myself. We're actually going to do a very intriguing thing, which is actually trade down from the selection. And looking at teams that could move up for a tight end, I think Washington should be aggressive here and try to be able to at least command a little bit of respect with their tight end core, because personally, I don't really think that it is too spectacular, but that will be for another video. Again, these picks won't actually affect the mock draft, and we are moving up to select Darnell Washington, who's going to be a pretty much a tackle / tight end hybrid. Pick number 43 for the Jets. So you could go Josh Downs to end up actually replacing the guy that you got that 42nd overall pick for, but we addressed offensive line with Broderick Jones. I think this could be a great spot to, oh man, I mean, Adebawore is kind of too good to pass on at this point too. That just sucks. I really do like Adebawore. Good players do fall though. I'm going to address Sidney Brown. We're going to do Sidney Brown here to replace LaMarcus Joyner. What did we do? I think we actually went, this is perfect. Adebawore is going to be this pick. We ended up going in the first round for the Falcons at corner with Devon Witherspoon. We're going to go Adebawore here for them to add some extra oomph in that pass rush. He was not that good at Northwestern, so this is actually a very realistic range for him to go. I just really do believe that he'll go fairly high based on his size and speed. Pick number 45, this would have been an interesting spot for him to go. I think you guys are running a 3-4 now, though. Wouldn't really work too well. You can see Mozzie Smith being a good selection here to play at pure nose. It's better than like having Marquand McCall there, to be fair. I think that might be the best move, but man, Josh Downs would be cool to add him in with all the receivers you now have. It also is BPA. So looking at the edge rushers that are still on the board, man, it does take such a big drop off. It really does. Like, I'm not passionate about these players the way I am about some of the other guys who just went before. Emmanuel Forbes could be a great option, though. I think that's incredible value. I think developing him is, I think his talent is number 2 in the class. And we saw what happens when Dante Jackson gets hurt and JC Horn can become unavailable as well. You guys get absolutely poked holes in like Swiss cheese. And I think it would be good to go after a nice corner like Emmanuel Forbes. His only issue is his weight. That's it. And, I think that he was going to be a top 10 player for me, if not. And unfortunately, he weighed in at 166. Pick number 46. Unfortunately, this would have been a great selection if we were able to get Cody Mauch on this team. But that's not the case. Instead, we're going to have linebackers start flying off the board because Jack Campbell is incredible. Another selection we could have done there for the Panthers. Pick number 47. We moved back, and I could honestly see Mozzie Smith being added in just out of good value. But we're actually going to go Antonio Johnson here. I'm going to use him as a pure safety, but you can also work as a sub-package linebacker. You guys can let me know what you guys think about that one. But interestingly enough, he weighed less than his corner counterpart as well as benched less. A little bit intrigued about that one. But the Lions, you guys keep killing it. Traded back, got Joey Porter and a future first-round pick. And then you also got Quentin Johnston. Now you guys are getting Trenton Simpson. He might be a little bit small to play a role that you guys are looking for, but I think it's worth tweaking a little bit. The Steelers, we are staying in our place and drafting Drew Sanders, linebacker out of Arkansas, former edge rusher out of Alabama. I think that with the loss of a billion linebackers on our team, this is an amazing selection. Pick number 50 for the Buccaneers. Like, you could go Mozzie Smith here and just say fuck it. But, in the first round, what did we end off doing? I'll do a quick little check. Peter Skoronski. So we addressed offensive line. I think that Luke Musgrave might be the best value here. Sam Laporta is incredible. We'll go Sam Laporta. I think he's more of a high floor player than Luke Musgrave, and I just love him to death. He's a great player. It doesn't really matter because this pick, I also love to just straight up opt for the best tight end available. So I'm just going to continue doing so because we all know the offensive linemen available are not too good. At pick number 52, we are back with the Seahawks, and we're just going to go Josh Downs. That's BPA. He's an incredible player. I have nothing against Josh Downs. Really damn good player. Pick number 53, Mozzie Smith is here. I think that's the best thing unless you get Jeffrey Simmons. Is his name Jeffrey? I don't know why I keep thinking that his name's not Jeffrey, but Simmons. I don't know. Is his name Jeffrey? Doesn't even matter. But Isaiah Simmons. Is that true? No, Isaiah Simmons is the damn linebacker. I'm tripping balls this morning. But we're going to be going Mozzie Smith. You guys know who I'm talking about. So Isaiah Simmons is a freaking linebacker, man. 54. Speaking of a team that I thought should have taken Isaiah Simmons, gladly they did not because they went after Justin Herbert. You guys ended off the first round by going with Brian Branch. Now, I think this is an amazing opportunity to get a great separator here in Tank Dell, who can take the top off a defense, even though he did randomly test 4-5. Pick number 55, again, wide receiver, linebacker, and what do we get? Corner as well. Already addressed. Would have been great to get Mozzie Smith here, but I'm more than fine getting Keanu Benton and adding him into that interior. You guys, I don't know why. Last year's with the Eagles, this year's with the Lions. I feel very confident with my picks. It's just some years you just have that one team where you really do love selecting for them, and that's definitely for the Lions. Pick number 56, we went after a tight end in round number 1. I'm going to be going after a corner here, and Keely Ringo's fall stops because they're going to go back for a guy who got poked holes in like Swiss cheese versus Georgia. Not versus Georgia, versus Ohio State. Granted, most players do, but even versus Cedric Tillman, I thought that he had some pretty atrocious reaction time. But that frame, that size, and that speed is just very, very tough to pass on at this point. Pick number 57. Another team that I'd really love to go after a corner for. I'd love to develop Garrett Williams, but I'm going to actually go after Eli Ricks here and just continue building that oomph on the outside. Offensive line is just not worth it at this point. Pick number 58. I'm going to triple check myself on that one. Yeah, that's true. There's nothing available. Pick number 58 for the Cowboys. Speaking of interior offensive linemen, this would be also a good spot to go after a developmental corner. And I think Garrett Williams is a top 15 player in the class when healthy. The issue is he tore his ACL. So I think he could be in this range, and you give him time to heal, and you have time to develop him underneath that great mentorship of Stephon Gilmore and Trevon Diggs. Pick number 59 for the Bills. We moved up for an offensive tackle. Now, Jamie Robinson might be your best bet as of great value here, but I would love to see a power back at this spot. I don't trust Zach Charbonnet in the cold after seeing how he played at Michigan, but gotta love it. If Zach gets there, I'm gonna totally root for him. Actually, a linebacker would not be bad. I think Diane Henley could try to take a step in there. His coverage ability is pretty solid. I just don't really believe in him the way others do, but this is definitely a good range for him to go. Pick number 60. Bengals moved up for a tackle as well. And man, we took the tight ends off the board. So that kind of sucks. But looking at another position, I would definitely at least take a peek at the corners that are available. I would trust Clark Phillips or Julius Brents here, but you guys have Mike Hilton, so I wouldn't really want a guy who's played slot to pretty much be in competition with a second-round pick. Now you have 2 second-round picks playing on the boundary. I trust Julius Brents at that 6'3" frame to be able to at least play a vital role on those deep balls. Pick number 61 with the Bears, another team that I would have loved to take Julius Brents to. I think we're going to take the corner train to the max here. We went offensive line already. Now we've gone, I think, defensive line with Mozzie Smith. And I think we're going to go corner here with Jalen Jones. I love Jalen Jones, and I think he's spectacular. He's a top 32 player for me. He just did not test very well, so it's understandable that he would be down in this range. Pick number 62 for the Eagles, we have gone after Bijan Robinson. First time I've ever done that one, especially at number 10. And then we also went after Nolan Smith. So we're kicking ass right now for the Eagles. So looking at other positions, again, corner, you can get Clark Phillips here and then see wherever role he plays. I think that would be good value. Continuing the corner train, there's just so many good corners in this class. Can you imagine if we took Jahmyr Gibbs too? I think that there's no developmental offensive lineman here. That'd be good. You could go Zach Charbonnet to get a power back, but that'd be really redundant there with Bijan. You could go safety here as well. I think Jamie Robinson would be a stud. And you know what? I think he plays that Chauncey role really damn well. So we're going to go Jamie Robinson, who is able to even one-on-one versus Rashee Rice. Pick number 63. And Rashee Rice versus in the Senior Bowl, for the people who are wondering. Pick number 63 for Kansas City. We ended off the first round with B.J. Ojulari. Gotta love showing my boy some love right there. Top 10 player on my board. And I think here, I'm looking at defensive interior. Nobody is really worth it. Other players who are available, Jahmyr Gibbs is here, and that's kind of ridiculous. I would hope for a team to move up for him. And looking at the guys who are at the top of the draft, usually, top of their draft board, I can see the Cardinals being a little bit ballsy here, since now we just acquired more picks to move up and select him. That's probably exactly what I'm going to do. So we're going to, unfortunately, sorry, Chiefs fans, trade out of this selection, because I do think that when there is that type of value available, you just can't pass on it. And we will send pick, it should be like pick 168, but we'll be polite and send 106 in, and then maybe ask for like 217 in return. So we are going to force the trade through. And the Cardinals have now moved up, and they are going to select Jahmyr Gibbs. Super athletic running back there out of Bama. So we'll scroll down so you guys get a quick recap there at the end. We had a little bit of DB mania right in here, but I mean, again, that's the type of value that this class has, and there's a huge drop off after those corners. Usually the NFL will not go that way, but that's going to be the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.